Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Stern Spiel, a weekly podcast where a dad and a daughter discuss everything happening in pop culture, politics, and our personal lives. Today, we will be getting into the Google Trends of this week. Yesterday was Halloween, so it's finally November, and let's just get right into it. What are the topics today, Dad?
So the topics today are not the presidential election because that's happening Tuesday. It's only a few days away. So I'm just we're not gonna cloud today's show with that, but we'll be back for that. We've got two documentaries that just came out to talk about that I think kind of interconnect in some interesting ways. Martha Stewart and Megan the Stallion. A documentary just came out on Prime Video about her. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that, and then we got something from the fashion world, something from the music world, and something...
Say what it is.
Okay, well, from the fashion world, it's the Heidi Klum
Halloween
party, of course, and then there's something from the music world, Mariah The Scientist. You ever heard of her?
Mm-mm.
All right, well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mariah The Scientist. And we have a story here. Mark Cuban is trending on YouTube. On Google right now. Mark Cuban, so that's sort of a political story interrelated to the election, but not full out. Okay.
Let us start with Heidi Klum's Halloween party because it was last night. And what is there to say? Her E.T. costume?
So her E.T. costume made big news, but I didn't know what a big deal this party is.
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing. If you're like a hot stuff celebrity, is the party in New York? I think
it's in New York, yeah.
You've got to be invited to this, or who are you?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, it's been like a thing for the last several years, and like in the last like 2 or 3, she's been becoming more outlandish with her costumes because it's been making waves.
Yeah, apparently she dressed up as a giant worm.
Yeah, the giant worm was like honestly the pinnacle of it all. And so this year she dressed up as E.T.
Right.
Again with like worm-esque makeup and like prosthetics and stuff, and she was teasing it the entire day.
There was a year when she dressed as Fiona from Shrek and Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, I mean, the costume parties are out of control. I am not a hater at all. Like, if you like Halloween, that's your thing. But I don't know.
It's been going on since 2000, Veronica.
I'm just like, yeah, but in your daily life, dressing up like for a Halloween party as an adult.
Oh, well, we had this conversation yesterday when we were handing out candy to the kids,
I don't know,
right?
because like when you boil it down, like to me, it was like, okay, it was fun in college because college has like big Halloween culture, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then once you become an adult, it's like, okay, like, yeah, I'll go to a little party or something at my friend's house. Maybe.
It's for the kids.
Like, it's a kids' holiday.
Yeah,
it's more like when you see the kids like walk up to the door and like have the autonomy, and then they're so happy when you put the candy in their thing.
Oh my God. There was a little girl who came to our front door a couple of years ago. She was first grade at the most.
Yeah.
Okay. She comes up to the front door, trick or treat, and I gave her one of those Reese's peanut butter cups, this individual wrap, put it in the thing, and I think it must have been her first time doing a trick or treat. The mother standing out on the front walk, she's at the door. And when that thing went clunk into her little jack-o'-lantern, plastic can, she was like, yes. She couldn't believe it. Like, she didn't understand that this is how it works. You just ask and people give you candy.
Right. So it's just like, to me, it's a fun little holiday for the kids. And like, what is Halloween without the trick-or-treating?
Yeah. And so let me say this to you. The Heidi Klum thing is it's a society party.
Yes.
It's a big deal. It's a different thing. I am personally of the opinion it should be just for the kids. It's a kids event. It's a kids thing. Let the kids enjoy it. If the adults want to have a party, I guess there's nothing wrong with it. But
no, there's nothing wrong with it.
I once heard a friend of mine said that like no person over the age of 10 should have a birthday party.
That's
now that might
psychotic.
be a little bit. That might be a little bit.
That's a little psycho-American, or what? American Psycho.
A little dramatic, but it's not without some foundation in rationality. Anyway,
But
that's,
why birthday
that's that.
party? I don't understand that. That's just sad.
You
should be able to have a birthday party. All I'm saying is
it's for kids.
The Halloween. No, birthdays are not for kids, Dad. Birthdays are every year thing that happened to you every single year. You should celebrate it. Halloween is for kids.
Do we want to save the documentaries for last?
Yeah.
Okay. Mariah the Scientist. Okay, so here's the story. I had not heard of Mariah the Scientist, but, I consider myself an aging STEM kid. I'm the only one in this family who's interested in science or technology, and that's always been a problem. I don't know if I've really talked.
Problem?
I haven't talked to you about it, but it bothers me a little bit that the kids are not science and engineering oriented. Not that I studied engineering in college, but I am like a tech person. You know that.
Yeah.
So when I saw that there's this Google trend for Mariah the Scientist, I thought, Mariah? She's a scientist? Is it Mariah Carey? What is this?
What is it?
Right. So it turns out Mariah is a rising star. She had an album called To Die For. Prior to her music career, she attended St. John's University in Queens to study biology. Once she was motivated by two friends to strive for a career in music, she dropped out of college the following year, and apparently she's been very successful, and she just came out with a new album.
What song does she have?
She's an R&B singer. R&B singer. Records. I think this song is called Genius.
Why is she trending?
Because she just came out with a new album. Her recent interview with Young Miami on the Koresha Please podcast, she opened up about a pathway to becoming an up-and-coming artist.
Is there a picture?
There is a picture. And I'm going to share the picture with you so that you can put it on the screen.
I might put it on the screen. I don't know.
All right.
People
so
can look it up themselves.
I don't think there's an actual science angle on the music itself.
She just went to school for biology or something.
And didn't finish, but it's an interesting thing.
Let me see.
And it's trending.
Okay, yeah, I have no idea who that is.
Okay. So that's but it's a Google trend, so check it out and see what's really going on with that. Okay. Mark Cuban got himself into a little bit of trouble a couple of days ago.
I thought you said there was no election news.
Well, this is Mark Cuban news.
Okay.
So let me tell you exactly what he said so that I don't get into trouble. Mark Cuban, he had to issue an apology. Okay. He had to issue an apology because he made a statement that no intelligent women or no strong intelligent women that Donald Trump is not followed by any strong, intelligent women. So there's obviously strong, intelligent women following Donald Trump, however misguided they may be, however supportive they may be of a tyrant and a autocrat and a fascist. They are also strong and intelligent because it's possible to both be strong, intelligent, and unfortunately supporting a terrible, terrible person. That's what's going on. Mark Cuban got himself into hot water because Donald Trump seized on it. Cuban said during an interview on ABC's The View that the former president did not surround himself with, quote, strong, intelligent women, unquote.
Oh, God.
Cuban made the comment in response to co-host and former Trump aide Alyssa Farah Griffin's question about Trump not asking Nikki Haley, the former South Carolina governor, to help him bolster support from female voters. And then so he said, I'm going to channel Mark Cuban. Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him. He doesn't like to be challenged by them, Cuban said. Nikki Haley will call him on his nonsense with reproductive rights and how he sees and treats and talks about women. I mean, he just can't be around her. He just can't have her around. It wouldn't work. So, he didn't go about it right. And so Trump is seizing on this and saying, look at them. Look what they're doing. They're saying bad things about our followers. And this is like a constant ongoing
All right.
train.
So what's your prediction for next week?
Oh, Kamala Harris is going to win.
Kamala?
Yes, without a doubt, because women are coming out in larger numbers than they ever did before. We think that's the case based on the number, the 60 million people who have early voted. We know women are overrepresented in that group. That tells me women are coming out. If women are coming out, they're coming out to vote for Kamala Harris. A whole bunch of obvious reasons, and I think she's gonna fly over the top of that one.
I think Kamala's gonna win. Donald Trump's gonna put up a fit, and it's gonna be a few days of just nonsense, and then hopefully once and for all, it will just like be restore the equilibrium.
I think it's going to take more than this election to completely reverse the course, but it's certainly super important that she win. That's where I'm kind of landing on that one. So take us into the documentaries.
All right, so there's 2 new documentaries out, 2 like big ones at least. So there's the Megan Thee Stallion one, which I believe is on Prime, and it's kind of just like, so she was shot in the foot like 3 years ago or something like that.
I do know about it.
So I think that the documentary is kind of like following her through that, and then how she overcame it. It's interesting. I'm always kind of like on documentaries about like really young people. Like I think documentaries about older people and like the span of their life is a lot more interesting.
So how old do you think Megan Thee Stallion is?
28.
She's 29. That's correct.
Yeah. So I think, she's barely lived her life yet. She's been really in the spotlight for like 5 years. So, I'm sure it's going to be interesting, but I'm not like, oh, I need to know what happened. Like I lived it. Like I don't need to watch documentary about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the documentary that just came out that is fascinating is called Martha. It's about Martha Stewart. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It was done by the same documentarian that did like the September issue and a few more really notable documentaries. And I watched it last night, and it is so good. I know Martha Stewart as just kind of this zeitgeist figure.
Yeah.
And of course, like I grew up in New York in the early 2000s, so it felt like she was plastered everywhere all of the time.
Yeah.
She's like a part of the New York culture.
By the 2000s, she was booming.
Yeah. So in that sense, I only really know her as like the polarizing figure. I had no idea about the fact that she was like the OG influencer. That's what they say in the movie.
I agree with
which
that.
was like fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's also just so interesting to like hear about her come up and like all of that. And, they kind of got into her time at the prison, which I didn't love that part because it was just like so sad. But, that's her life.
Yeah.
And then it's really interesting because the New York Times did an interview with her, and she kind of slammed the documentary and was like, I hate it. Like, this is not what I wanted. The documentarian didn't include like me climbing up Mount Kilimanjaro. He didn't include anything about me and my grandchildren. He included too much about the trial. And so it's just like interesting because the documentary really, I would say, protects her.
Yeah.
Because it alludes to her being this like cold person and really paints her as the type of person that would like not do what she got in trouble for doing, which is insider trading, and really makes you feel like, oh, that was a wrongful conviction. So for her to go to the New York Times and then be exactly the type of person that the documentary was trying to not paint her as was really just, I'm like, she's 83, so I don't think she gives any more Fs.
Yeah.
But it was just like really, really interesting.
I think that what you said about her being the OG influencer, that's sort of on the right track. So there were influencers. There were definitely people building brands around their personality before
Martha Stewart.
Hugh Hefner comes to mind. There were others.
But like isn't Hugh Hefner Playboy?
Yes. But what she did, so Hefner created a lifestyle. He created like a lifestyle brand, right? That's the analogy. And she had a lifestyle brand, but she was much bigger because it was all about merch and selling pots and pans and spatulas and, anything with her name on it. And she had this massive brand deal with Kmart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and so she really convinced, like, women in particular that they were going to be consumers for this lifestyle that she was organizing and making understandable and sensible. Like, how do you set the table? A simple thing.
Mm-hmm.
She turned that into a culture and was very, very successful at it. Now, the insider trading thing, it was a massive business. Martha Stewart Living was enormous. It was a big New York City business. They had a building on 9th Avenue, ran from one end of the block to the other. Massive place. I was inside there because we sold them some technology earlier in my career.
Oh, wow.
And you couldn't believe how many people were working at this place. It was a massive, massive concern. But you know what? The merchandise was the most ordinary stuff. That was the unbelievable thing about it to me. It's not like she invented, cooking oil.
No.
What she invented, sheets, right. What she invented was talking about the thread count and being very concerned about whether it was this kind of cotton or that kind of cotton or, and it just unbelievable. And she was very successful at it for many years. And the insider trading thing, listen, she was like a social person also, like in the sense that, like, amongst the New York rich.
Mm-hmm.
So she had access to people. And I think that's where she got the inside tip, and she followed it and ended up in prison.
Well, okay, that's a very boiled down version of what happened. You should really watch the documentary. But basically, they really make Jim Comey out to be the bad guy in this situation. Which did Jim Comey have something to do with Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, James Comey, the Attorney General.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was involved with Martha Stewart.
Dad, he is the person that pushed it beyond what it needed to be.
Okay, I gotta go see this thing then.
You need to watch this documentary.
Okay.
The case was pretty much closed, and then he came and did a press conference and was like, we're gonna get Martha Stewart because she's just a mean person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a voiceover of somebody that was like, any lawyer in the country watched that and said, oh, they just don't like her.
Right. So there was something in the persona that she had built that left her vulnerable to that. You know what I'm saying?
Because she was a perfectionist.
And I don't know whether it was real or not, or if it was an anti-women backlash or what.
Absolutely was. There's no doubt. There's no doubt, Dad.
So there's strains of that.
There's nothing that she was doing that, I hate to say his name today,
right.
Donald Trump, was not doing.
And she couldn't get away with it.
And probably on a ninefold level worse.
Right. But we locked her up. Okay.
So it's just really, really interesting. I encourage everybody to go and watch it. I know it's like kind of blowing up right now on social media because like I said, people my age know Martha Stewart as like Snoop Dogg and, recent stuff and not necessarily who she was in this like 80s, 90s.
Yeah. So quick anecdote. We had a skillet with a glass top that was from the Martha Stewart collection, and it was garbage. And there was a recall on it, and I one time was in the process of cleaning it, and the entire lid shattered into pieces. So some of that merch that she was selling was.
Wait, I just remembered something. I actually met Martha Stewart one time.
When?
At a gala in the city.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a picture with her. Like,
that's where
I'm like
she
standing
goes.
next
she
to
gets
her.
Around.
I'm like standing next to her and I'm like smiling like there's a 10-year-old kid, like being like, oh my God, it's Martha Stewart. Like,
yeah, she gets around.
From like New York fame, not knowing like who she actually was.
So New York social circles is where she was traveling for a long time. So it makes sense that you would meet her there. So I want to kind of juxtapose that against this Megan Thee Stallion thing. First of all, I'm familiar with Megan Thee Stallion. I am familiar with the song Hot Girl Summer. I never made the connection. But remember we were talking last week about Jax?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lyric in that Jax song about Victoria's Secret where she refers to not being able to have a hot girl summer and feeling body uncomfortable about it. I think that term comes from the song that Megan the Stallion made famous.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm learning here. So Megan the Stallion, it's not pronounced Megan the Stallion. It's pronounced Megan the Stallion. Apparently had an interview with Gayle King in which she lied.
Okay, can I say what this is about?
Go ahead.
So Megan the Stallion, and I want to also state this. I was reading about this. The case is closed. The guy was found guilty. It's done. And she did not lie in court. Gayle King overstepped, in my opinion, and said, have you had physical relationship with Tory Lanez? And she said no, and that was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And in this documentary, she's like, yeah, I lied about that to Gayle King because the interview was supposed to be about something else, and she overstepped.
Okay.
But she did not lie in the court of law where it matters.
Veronica, you're on point, and I want to just say this. If you're interested in knowing about this, there is a killer article in New York Magazine, the Vulture section. Just search for New York Magazine and Megan the Stallion. You will find it. The name of this documentary is In Her Words. And she admits that when Gayle King asked her if she had sex with Tory Lanez at all, she didn't tell the truth because she felt it was, quote unquote, irrelevant to the conversation about the shooting. Quote, I'm quoting now, yes, bitch, I lied to Gayle King, bitch. First of all, I ain't know that bitch that was even gonna finna ask me about that shit. I thought we was gonna talk about this shooting. Unquote.
I think you meant to say finna.
Yeah. Megan shared, as she explained her reasoning, why is you asking me about fucking Tory? That's not what this is about. Even if I was. I fucked that like once, maybe twice on a drunk night. You kept catching me out of my fucking mind, unquote. According to TMZ, Lanez cited the original Gayle King interview in court in his upcoming appeal, blah, 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 blah. But then they asked Gayle King about it. Gayle said, quote, hey, I'm just sitting here minding my own business. People are reaching out to me saying, hey, Gayle, Megan the Stallion just called you a bitch. I know you're expecting me to. Maybe you're thinking I have something negative to say. I do not. I have nothing but great love and respect for Megan the Stallion. I don't know how to unpack that one.
What is there to unpack?
If somebody's calling me a B, I don't have great respect for them.
The whole thing is just ridiculous. This is what I'm saying. It is really, I understand why she had to feel the need to make the documentary.
Yeah.
But this happened 1.5 years ago. We don't need a documentary about it to drum up more drama in the moment. The best part about the absolute best part of the Martha Stewart documentary was when she's recalling the trial, and then she's like, yeah, I was guilty on all these things. And then she said, this is not a quote, but she was basically like, and then the bitch from New York Post was sitting in the corner of the courtroom looking so smug after she wrote all these disgusting things about me in the paper. And then you know what she said after that? She's dead now, so she got her revenge.
Wow. So,
and it's that's good. That's good filmmaking.
I'm going to watch both of these documentaries because that is interesting to me. And I think the analogy, the overlay between the Megan the Stallion documentary and the Martha Stewart documentary might be interesting.
It could
both
be.
Both strong women. They're both selling aspects of lifestyle.
No,
they are.
I wouldn't say Megan the Stallion is. She's a singer.
She's an entertainer. I think Martha Stewart is an entertainer at the core. They are both. I've seen the Megan the Stallion videos. It's very focused on, how you look and what you wear and how you carry yourself. And I think to some extent that's where Martha Stewart is coming from with a different demographic.
Mm-hmm.
So I do see an overlay, and the fact that they both landed up in court. And arguably, she didn't shoot herself in the foot, right? And if you feel like Martha Stewart really should not have been prosecuted, then there's an overlay of their circumstances there as well. So I think it's not an accident that these things are coming out at the same time. There's a story to be told in both of these, and I think I'm going to check out the Megan Thee Stallion documentary, which apparently is on Prime Video. The name of that one is called In Her Words. What's the name of the...
Martha.
Martha. Okay. We'll have to go check those out.
Y'all, that was a great episode. We hope you enjoyed those Google Trends this week. Listen, subscribe. Let us know what you want us to talk about next week. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody.